Get this man a gun.
Hello, this is Max. Upon his re-entry into the criminal underworld to settle a debt, John Wick uncovers a substantial bounty placed on his head. Don't forget to subscribe. The movie begins with John Wick embroiled in a pursuit to reclaim his stolen Ford Mustang, taken by Abram Tarasov, the brother of the late Viggo Tarasov. Meanwhile, Abram instructs his men to prepare for a confrontation with John. One of his henchmen, displaying overconfidence, underestimates John and suggests that they might be risking everything for just a car. Abram, however, clarifies that it's not just any car, it's John Wick's car. He proposes giving the car back to John. Abram tells them what kind of man they are dealing with, recounting how John has already killed Abram's nephew, brother, and henchman over this car and puppy. The henchman suggests eliminating John, but he is informed that John Wick is a man of extreme determination, commitment, and sheer willpower. He even once killed 3 men using only a pencil. Tarasov emphasizes that they are dealing with an extraordinary and highly respected killer in the criminal underworld. Meanwhile, John locates the whereabouts of his Ford Mustang and rushes to Tarasov's location. In a violent rampage, he incapacitates all of Tarasov's men and ends up damaging his beloved car. However, John spares Tarasov's life when he promises not to interfere with John's life in the future. John agrees to this peace agreement and returns home, deciding to bury all reminders of his former life as a hitman. He aims to live as an ordinary widower following his wife's death. After a few days, Aurelio visits John's house to repair his Ford Mustang. Upon inspecting the car, Aurelio informs John that it will take some time to fix it. In the evening, John is visited by Santino D'Antonio, a Comorra crime boss. Santino asks John to return to his former life and offers him a job. He reminds John that he helped him complete an impossible task that allowed him to retire and marry Helen. In return, John swore a blood oath marker, an unbreakable vow, symbolized by a medallion. Santino now presents the marker to demand John's services. The Santino family is a powerful mafia family, with Santino's father being a high-ranking member of the High Table, a council of 12 crime bosses overseeing continental hotels worldwide. Despite this, John is reluctant and informs Santino that he has moved on from his old life for good. This rejection doesn't sit well with Santino, and he launches an attack on John's house with a grenade launcher. Somehow, John survives the attack but has no place to live. John seeks refuge at the Continental Hotel in New York City. Accompanied by his dog, he turns to Winston, the hotel's manager, for help and advice. Winston reminds John that rejecting the marker violates 2 unbreakable rules of the underworld: no killing on continental grounds and honoring every marker. Realizing he has no other choice, John reluctantly agrees to fulfill his commitment and goes to meet Santino. Santino wastes no time and immediately asks John to assassinate his sister, Jana. Santino is jealous of Jana, as she is next in line to the High Table, and he wants her eliminated to secure a seat for himself. John reluctantly accepts the mission, and Santino assigns his bodyguard, Ares, to watch over John and observe how he carries out the task. John prepares for the mission by visiting a tailor shop that specializes in creating bulletproof clothing for assassins. He also acquires weapons from a knowledgeable shopkeeper who recognizes him as the legendary John Wick. At night, John infiltrates Jana's coronation ceremony for her seat at the High Table and confronts her in a dressing room. Facing imminent death, Gianna decides to do the unthinkable, and John completes the job to fulfill the marker. As John leaves the scene, Jana's bodyguard, Cashin, recognizes him and realizes John's role in Jana's death. Cashin attacks John, leading to an intense shootout. John manages to escape Cashin and his henchmen and seeks refuge in the catacombs. However, he is double-crossed by Ares, the woman Santino appointed to watch him, and her henchmen, who attempt to kill him. After dispatching most of the henchmen, John is once again pursued by Cashin. They engage in a fierce shootout, eventually ending up in the lobby of the Continental Hotel in Rome, which, like its New York counterpart, prohibits conducting business on its grounds. To respect the hotel's rules, John and Cashin stop fighting and share a drink at the bar. During this conversation, John explains his reasons for assassinating Jana. However, Cashin still insists that he will eventually kill John. However, Cashin promises John that he will give him a quick and professional death out of respect. When John returns to his room, he receives a call from Santino. Santino acknowledges that John might be upset and understands that what he did to him may feel personal. He continues by saying that he would be remiss if he didn't seek vengeance for his sister. Frustrated by Santino's words, John hangs up the phone in anger. The next day, John prepares to check out of the Continental Hotel in Rome and return to New York City. Meanwhile, Santino opens a $7 million contract to kill John Wick, disguising it as avenging his sister's death. This contract is distributed to high-profile assassins worldwide, tempting many of them due to the significant reward. Santino meets with Winston, the Continental's manager, who requests a blood oath from Santino. However, Santino indicates that John has fulfilled his commitment and is no longer bound by an oath with him. Winston warns Santino that he has made a grave mistake by betraying John. He explains that Santino has forced John back into the life he had just left and that John is now free of the marker. Winston predicts that John will come back for revenge, emphasizing that Santino has betrayed the devil himself. Despite these warnings, Santino remains confident that John won't be able to approach him or kill him. Meanwhile, John arrives in New York City and is immediately greeted by assassins attempting to claim the $7 million contract on his life. He faces continuous attacks as he walks the streets of the city. At a subway station, John is attacked again, but he skillfully eliminates the assailant using only a pencil. Continuing in the subway, John encounters Cashin, leading to another gun battle with silenced weapons amid the crowded platform. After this shootout, they engage in a physical fight, and John eventually stabs Cashin in the aorta with a knife, leaving his fate uncertain. However, John himself sustains serious injuries. Seeking assistance, John encounters a beggar and gives him a gold coin in exchange for help. With the beggar's aid, John manages to leave the subway. Still in need of help, John seeks out an underground crime boss known as the Bowery King. The Bowery King's associates tend to John's injuries, and John requests information on Santino's whereabouts as well as weapons. The Bowery King questions why he should help John, to which John argues that if Santino secures a seat at the high table, the Bowery King will lose his position and resources, and his underground network will be compromised.
Get this man a gun.
Realizing the validity of John's points, the Bowery King decides to assist him, providing him with a gun containing only 7 bullets, 1 for each million of the contract. He directs John to an art museum where Santino is hosting a gala. Armed with limited ammunition and information on Santino's location, John heads to the museum and starts eliminating Santino's henchmen. He relentlessly pursues Santino throughout the museum, eliminating his remaining guards. However, Santino's luck takes a turn when his mute security enforcer, Ares, arrives at the scene. Santino seizes the opportunity and manages to escape while John is occupied with the other henchmen. John swiftly dispatches Santino's remaining henchmen, eliminating all of them. John eventually comes face to face with Ares, and the two engage in a fierce hand-to-hand combat. After a brutal fight, John prevails and kills Ares. During their battle, Santino uses the opportunity to flee to the Continental Hotel, confident that he will be safe there due to the rule against killing on Continental grounds. After some time, John arrives at the Continental and asks Karen for Santino's whereabouts. Karen, not wanting to provoke Sean's anger, reveals Santino's location.
I'm here to see Santino D'Antonio.
He's waiting for you in the lounge, sir.
Santino is found at the Continental's lounge, where he is enjoying a meal and appears relaxed. Seeing John approaching, Winston warns him not to act recklessly by killing Santino inside the Continental, as there would be severe consequences. Santino, feeling secure within the Continental's sanctuary, is confident that John won't harm him there. However, John has reached his breaking point. Fed up with Santino, John decides he's had enough. Without hesitation, he disregards Winston's warnings and kills Santino inside the Continental lounge.
What have you done?
Having eliminated Santino, John immediately leaves the building. He returns to his old house, where he reflects on the time he spent with his late wife, cherishing the beautiful memories they created together in their beloved home. The next day, Sharon takes John to a park to meet with Winston. John's violation of the Continental's rules has brought him face to face with the consequences. Winston informs him that the High Table has doubled the value of the contract on John's life and distributed it globally as a result of him killing Santino on continental grounds. Winston declares John excommunicado, cutting off all his access and privileges to underworld resources. John knows that he's surrounded by assassins ready to kill him at any moment. However, Winston grants John a 1-hour head start and provides him with a marker for future use. John makes it clear that he is willing to take on anyone who comes after him, vowing to kill them all. With that, John leaves the park with his dog. Winston makes a call to activate John's excommunicado in 1 hour. As the contract is activated and cell phones begin to ring all around him, John starts running, setting the stage for what lies ahead. This is where the movie concludes. If you are interested in such films, please proceed to the next video on the screen, and also share your thoughts about this film in the comments. Give us a like and subscribe. Goodbye.